She was nearly 3 meters tall. Her entire body was as white as jade, radiating a wholly pristine light. Her long hair cascaded down like seaweed, and her eyes were closed as if she were singing a lullaby for all living creatures. "What is this? Is this the demon god Mammon?" Zhang Yi screamed internally. No, he had seen Mammon at the Tianyu Palace, and it looked nothing like this. The perfect woman slowly raised her head, looking at the crowd. Everyone was absolutely stunned by her beauty. Cheng Luan pressed his lips together tightly and picked up the bronze box beside him. Suddenly, the massive box shattered, transforming into a huge bronze shield covered in bizarre talismans. Complex gears on the shield surface began to slowly rotate. Cheng Luan activated the shield, and the Bagua formation instantly began to shift. The entire valley flooded with light and shadows, blinding Zhang Yi and the others. It felt as though this tiny space had suddenly expanded into an infinite universe. The light warped, and the people around them blurred into the background. Only Cheng Luan and the white-skinned woman stood suspended in mid-air, completely unaffected. The woman stared directly at Cheng Luan. As the Bagua seal descended upon her, she slowly opened her eyes. The moment her eyes opened, everything changed. Her holy aura vanished in a split second, replaced by a deep, pitch-black light that swallowed her entirely. Her eyes were now solid black, completely devoid of pupils, like the gates of hell, ready to devour everything. 2 wings tore out from her back, one pure black, the other pure white. In that instant, Zhang Yi realized exactly what this was. A phantom territory. There was another phantom territory hidden right inside Mammon's sealed area. He had felt this bizarre, chaotic presence before. It was like a nightmare brought to life. This was the ultimate hallmark of the ghost leaders. They weren't alive, they ran purely on instinct. The black and white angel let out a piercing shriek. The sound was so intense that everyone felt like their brains were going to explode. Along with her scream, a massive black hole ripped open in the sky, and a familiar figure stepped out. The leader of the Phantom Walkers, the Crow of Evil, had returned to the battlefield. One by one, the ghost leaders began pouring out. Some were small, while others were the size of mountains: the Blood Corpse Tree King, the Corpse Dragon, and the Mountain of the Corrupted Country. Every single monster they had previously faced was back. Countless ghost walkers swarmed alongside them. Small ghosts crawling over the cliffs, armored crow soldiers blotting out the sky, and the rotting corpses of ancient humans rising from the dirt. The only one missing was the undead evil baby, currently restrained by the AO family sealing technique. Seeing this, everyone's blood ran cold. They had barely survived these monsters the first time. Now they had to face them all over again. Without a second thought, everyone drew their weapons. They had no choice but to fight. Oliver turned to Zhang Yi and said urgently, "Lord Chaos, where is your Spear of Longinus? Pull it out, it might actually work on them." Zhang Yi didn't react immediately. Wait a second, he thought. It was impossible to seal this many ghost leaders with just one spear. His attention was locked onto something else. Mammon's colossal body and the two-faced angel standing on top of its head. This angel had emerged directly from Mammon and was summoning the other ghost leaders. This meant she was the physical manifestation of Mammon's will. Realizing this, Zhang Yi shouted, "Brother Cheng Luan, suppress the winged one first." Cheng Luan didn't even look his way. His hair rapidly extended, weaving into a massive net across the sky that crashed down toward the ghost leaders. Does he plan to seal all of them by himself? Zhang Yi was shocked. Does he actually have that kind of power? The answer came seconds later. The moment Cheng Luan's hair tried to bind the ghost leaders, the bindings were effortlessly snapped. An elf standing atop the corpse dragon fired golden arrows. A golden armored warrior raised his sword, unleashing a shockwave of lightning. Devastating attacks rained down from every direction, shredding Cheng Luan's hair to pieces. Cheng Luan's eyes darkened. He realized he couldn't handle this many ghost leaders alone. Now, the entire horde of ghost leaders turned their aggression toward the group. Zhang Yi gripped his magic knife and yelled, "They are protecting Mammon. They don't want us getting anywhere near it. That means we're in the right place. As long as Mammon hasn't fully awakened, we can seal it. Once that's done, these ghost leaders won't be a problem anymore. Everyone, buy time for Cheng Luan. Let him finish the seal." The realization hit the group like a jolt of electricity. Cheng Luan was the MVP here. Before, they had no hope because they couldn't kill these monsters. But now, they had a win condition: seal the demon god. Confidence surged through the ranks. The powerful human evolvers instantly activated their abilities. Oliver grabbed 2 spears, one black, one silver, mounted his 8-winged Pegasus, and charged straight at the Crow of Evil. He unfurled the Dead Sea Scrolls with one hand and gripped a blazing holy sword with the other, launching an assault on the mountain of the corrupted country. Everyone went all out. Being this close to Mammon made the ghost leaders hyper-aggressive. The mountain of the corrupted country, a grotesque mountain of flesh designed to consume everything, opened its massive maw and began indiscriminately swallowing the humans around it. Meanwhile, Li Chunggong and Suzaku were both hiding inside Zhang Yi's shadow space. Zhang Yi refused to let anyone out. Normal attacks were entirely useless against an enemy of this caliber. Even the sealing technique had only temporarily held the Phantom Lord before. This time, they needed a surefire method. Zhang Yi closed his eyes and reached out with his mind. Ling, I've made it to Mamon's sealed location. Guide me. What do I do now? His spiritual essence could now connect with the ether, and he frequently spoke to Ling in his dreams. But this was his first time attempting it while fully conscious. Within moments, he felt a familiar presence. Thump, thump. Everything around him went dark, but his mind was crystal clear. Like a radar ping, his senses swept the entire area until he got a response. Zhang Yi snapped his eyes open and stared directly at Mammon's chest. Right where the heart should be, there was a horrific wound. The exact same wound left by the 4 nights earlier. Mammon's flesh was trying to seal it shut, but looking closely, there was a clear pathway inside. Ling's human form is in there. Zhang Yi took a deep breath and dove straight for Mammon's chest. He flicked his left hand, and the massive spear of Longinus, controlled by the divine chain, materialized in his grip. A brutal war was raging all around him. Hundreds of elite humans were clashing with the Phantom leaders and their Ghostwalker army. Zhang Yi's sudden forward charge instantly drew everyone's attention. "Chaos, what the hell are you doing?" Oliver yelled. He had been fighting like a god among ghosts, using his flames of Judgment Day to turn swaths of the undead into ash. Zhang Yi yelled back, "I'm going to drive the spear of Longinus right into Mammon's heart." It was a perfectly logical explanation. Oliver was impressed. "You're taking on a suicide run by yourself?" he muttered, before immediately barking orders to his team. "Support Chaos at all costs. Clear a path for him." The Sun and Moon Angels moved in perfect synchronization. Moon Angel Serial activated her moonlight domain, causing the light to flow like water and making the very fabric of space feel heavy and sluggish. The vines of the Blood Corpse Tree King lunged to grab Zhang Yi, but they froze mid-air. Sun Angel Midalan raised his massive sword and roared, "The sunlight of the sun!" severing the vines in a single strike. The rest of the forces rallied to carve out a path. Zhang Yi felt a twinge of emotion. His previous efforts to build trust hadn't been in vain, but the ghost leaders weren't about to let him walk up to their master. The spear of Longinus agitated them immensely due to its sealing power. The two-faced angel shrieked violently, but she couldn't target Zhang Yi directly. Cheng Luan had marked her as his primary target. His hair surged forward like a waterfall, locking onto her. The Bagua formation in the sky blazed with light, specifically engineered to suppress entities like Mammon. Furious, the angel's dark side opened its mouth and fired a destructive black beam at Cheng Luan. It was similar to Zhang Yi's void power, but infinitely more pure and lethal, an energy that could literally erase matter from existence. Cheng Luan didn't take it lightly. His hair had formed a sprawling maze across the battlefield. Using it as a track, he narrowly dodged the beam. "Is this the power of the 7 demon titans?" he thought grimly. "If that hits me, I'm getting zeroed out." His purple eyes flared. The next second, purple flames ignited at the tips of his hair. The fire spread wildly, completely surrounding the two-faced angel. It was a bizarre flame, beautiful yet incredibly toxic and deadly, capable of melting metal and dealing continuous damage. The angel's white side simply closed her eyes and stood peacefully, pressing her hands together in prayer, as if she wanted no part in the violence. But her dark side raised its arms, summoning dozens of black spheres. She hurled them into the air, where they expanded into miniature black holes, instantly swallowing Cheng Luan's hair in purple flames. Cheng Luan's eyes turned ice cold. A heavy feeling settled in his chest. "Ancestors bless me. You sent me here, which means you must have seen a future where I successfully complete the seal, right?" He raised the bronze shield given to him by Bai Longji. Fused with the Dragon Clan's advanced tech and the Ancestors' blessings, it was capable of countering the Ghost Leader's attacks. "Then why was I sent? Why didn't Senior Yan Mo come?" Maybe the key isn't with me. He looked down at the fighting humans. Humans were weak, yet in just 3 years their growth had been exponential. They were the most terrifying and unpredictable race in history. Cheng Luan's gaze shifted to Zhang Yi, who was rocketing toward Mammon's chest with the Spear of Longinus. A sealed object. Cheng Luan furrowed his brow. It served the exact same purpose as the bronze box he had brought. Temporarily suppress Mammon and delay its recovery. Right now, that was the best they could hope for. Since Cheng Luan was bogged down by the Phantom leaders, if Zhang Yi pulled this off, the pressure would drop significantly. Let's see what you've got, Cheng Luan thought. Outwardly he ignored Zhang Yi, but internally he was banking on him. The canyon was about 1,000 meters wide, massive, but still feeling claustrophobic due to the sheer volume of monsters packing the battlefield. This lack of space was the only reason the Blood Corpse Tree King couldn't assume its true form. As a plant-based entity far from its home turf, it was severely nerfed. On the Colombian side, Pluto John Heisenberg unleashed his 5 personalities. Every single one possessed bishop-level power, making it look like 5 distinct souls were operating a single body. "What a glorious battlefield," croaked the god of the sticks, Charon. His hollow eyes tracked the corpse dragon descending from above, an oppressive beast stitched together from the corpses of countless powerhouse fighters. "I'll handle this one." Charon raised his withered hands. A massive iteration of the river Styx, made entirely of blood and corpses, erupted from beneath him. Meanwhile, the night goddess blanketed the area in absolute darkness. Only the blessed could see clearly. As the king of the underworld, he was in his element fighting undead creatures. Charon swung his ferryman's oar, commanding the river Styx to coil around the corpse dragon. The dragon thrashed furiously as the undead attached to its body launched frantic counterattacks. The 3-headed hound of hell and the 6-headed hydra surged forward, tearing the enemy lines to shreds. The purple dragon, Bati and Zadi, reverted to its true form to brawl with the hydra. It snapped off one of the hydra's heads, only for a new one to instantly regenerate. Enraged, the dragon kept severing heads, but they kept coming back. Suddenly, a golden-armored knight appeared, a blazing phoenix manifesting behind him. Fighting purely on instinct, he soared into the air, waited for the hydra to lose a head, and plunged his magma sword straight into the stump. The intense fire cauterized the wound, halting the regeneration entirely. Retaliating, Charon swung his oar at the Golden Knight. Boom! The knight blocked with his sword, and the catastrophic impact sent shockwaves through the abyss. If not for the ancient seal holding the area together, the entire space would have shattered. The moment Zhang Yi neared Mammon's heart, all the ghost leaders zeroed in on him. Oliver successfully intercepted a strike from the Blood Corpse Tree King, but the corpse dragon violently shook itself, dropping dozens of corpses. The moment they hit the ground, they sprinted straight at Zhang Yi, their eyes glowing an ominous red. They weren't particularly strong, but the sheer numbers were a massive headache. Zhang Yi didn't waste a millisecond. Using the second hand of time in his left eye, he predicted their exact trajectories. With his right eye, he warped the space around them. God's domain purification. It was as if a massive, invisible deity reached down and crushed them all simultaneously. Bones snapped. Corpses were pulverized into powder, but because they were undead and couldn't return to the ether, they immediately began pulling themselves back together. Ignoring them, Zhang Yi activated space travel and teleported directly onto Mammon's chest. Despite being a colossal monster, Mammon's body felt practically invincible. Zhang Yi drove all his strength through his demon god armor, trying to punch through the flesh to widen the gap, but he couldn't even leave a scratch. This was the same body that had tanked a literal meteor. Ghost walkers were swarming him from every angle. Some were literally scaling Mammon's body, glaring at Zhang Yi, desperate to stop his advance. Boom, 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 the mountain of the corrupted country was bounding through the canyon, hurling itself straight at Zhang Yi. Before it even reached him, a terrifying suction force erupted from the cracks in its body, threatening to pull Zhang Yi in. Even the thrusters on his demon mecha were struggling to resist the pull. Zhang Yi gritted his teeth. He was one step away. If he could just reach Ling's human body, half the mission would be a success. Then, he and Cheng Luan could seal Mammon together. "Ling, tell me, how do I get inside its body? Ling, answer me!" But no matter how hard he yelled in his mind, there was no response. Connecting to the ether required the state of tranquility, and with everything going to hell around him, his mind was too chaotic to establish the link. The corrupted mountain was now airborne, launching itself at him like a fleshy cannonball. A massive hole opened at its peak. revealing writhing internal organs. If he got swallowed, not even his armor could save him from the Drucker clan's devouring ability. Damn it! Zhang Yi remembered the strategy meeting at the weak water. Attacking the phantom territory directly was useless. They just absorbed the damage and got stronger. He had to temporarily back off from Mammon's heart. Below him, the smaller ghosts were literally piling on top of each other, building a living bridge into the air, screaming as they lunged for him. Their mouths were filled with inverted, razor-sharp teeth. Annoyed, Zhang Yi swung his magic sword backhanded. A wave of energy erupted from the blade, vaporizing countless ghosts in an instant. He was busy calculating how to escape the phantom territory and find another way into Mammon when he noticed a tiny ghost had sneakily bitten the back of his magic sword. The creature's face was grotesque. Zhang Yi immediately smashed the sword against the cliff face, turning the ghost into paste. But when he checked his blade, there was a deep set of teeth marks, and black saliva was actively corroding the metal. Teeth this sharp? Zhang Yi was genuinely shocked. The creatures of the Devil's Eye were no joke. If that thing had bitten his armor, he'd be in serious trouble. The divine refining sword could regenerate with energy, but the core issue remained: how the hell was he supposed to get inside Mammon? Frustrated that it had missed, the corrupted mountain opened every orifice on its body, inhaling violently. It produced a horrifying sound, like the wind screaming through a canyon at night. This isn't working, Zhang Yi frowned. Everyone else was tied down in their own life-or-death struggles. He couldn't ask Oliver or the others for more help than they were already giving. Wait, how did I forget? He still had people hiding in his shadow space. He absolutely refused to put young Xinxin in danger, but the other two, Li Chenggong and Suzaku, you two are getting way too comfortable in there. Li Chenggong, get your ass out here. Zhang Yi plunged his hand into his shadow space, grabbed Li Chenggong by the collar, and forcefully dragged him out. Li Chenggong was horrified. He took one look at the apocalyptic battlefield, and his face drained of color. He was nowhere near strong enough to survive this. I was just waiting for the right opportunity, he stammered, trying to make an excuse. The opportunity is right now. Zhang Yi pointed at the crack on Mammon's chest. See that gap? I need you to go over there and hit it with everything you have. Don't think, just cut. Li Chenggong reluctantly drew his sword. Fine. A swarm of ghost walkers descended on them like a plague of locusts. Zhang Yi completely ignored them. He ripped open a dimensional door and shoved Li Chenggong straight through, dropping him right on top of Mammon's chest. Cut it now, Zhang Yi ordered. Li Chenggong felt incredibly disrespected, like a guard dog being ordered to attack, but the situation was too critical to argue. I am the will of God, he screamed. His sword slashed through the air, the absolute cutting property of his ability activated. Mammon's indestructible flesh, the same flesh that stopped a meteor, split wide open. Zhang Yi was ecstatic. He instantly lunged forward. A blinding light poured out of the massive gash, like a sun was hidden inside the demon god's chest. Zhang Yi didn't hesitate. He drove the spear of Longinus straight into the wound. Boom! The spear sank deep, creating a massive crater, but it suddenly stopped. Zhang Yi immediately realized why. Ling's human body was blocking the path inside. Grabbing Li Chenggong, Zhang Yi blindly dove into the glowing wound. A flash of white light consumed them, and they vanished inside Mammon's chest. High above, the dark side of the two-faced angel shrieked in agony, while tears streamed from the closed eyes of the white side. Slowly, the white angel opened her eyes. A piercing, pure white light erupted from the crack in Mammon's heart, tearing through the darkness like a rising sun, flooding the entire sealed area. As they fell, a lingering question bothered Zhang Yi. Mammon's body seemed utterly invincible. So, if someone with an ability like Li Chenggong's had existed in the past, wouldn't they have just killed Mammon outright? Why was this thing so notoriously impossible to kill? Earth was over 4 billion years old. The Drucker Titans had existed since antiquity, and even someone as powerful as Kaga couldn't permanently end them. In all that time, had there truly never been anyone with an absolute cut ability like Li Chenggong's? It seemed incredibly unlikely, but there was no time to dwell on it. Once inside Mammon's body, the situation was completely out of his control. Every second they spent in here meant more danger for the forces fighting outside. He had to find Ling's human body, and fast. Inside Mammon, everything was bathed in blinding white light. This clearly wasn't a standard biological structure of flesh and blood. Zhang Yi suddenly stopped walking. He was standing in a vast, empty space, still holding Li Chenggong by the back of the neck. When he looked behind him, he saw the back half of the spear of Longinus sticking out of the wall. But the entrance they had just come through was completely gone. It looked as if the spear had materialized out of thin air to become a massive pillar. Zhang Yi's eyes narrowed. Is this another illusion? No. This feels like a real world. Using all his strength, he grabbed the spear and dragged the entire length of it fully into the white space. Right now, this weapon was his biggest insurance policy. Mammon hadn't fully revived yet, and if they somehow ran into the Dark Lord himself, the Spear of Longinus was their only fighting chance. "Where the hell are we?" Li Chenggong asked nervously. "Zhang Yi, how did you get inside Mammon's body? Didn't we seal it?" He looked at Zhang Yi with heavy suspicion, convinced the man was hiding something. Zhang Yi scanned the area calmly. "It's not that simple. I saw a different future. Just stabbing the spear into Mammon's heart isn't enough. There are more secrets hidden in this world." Li Chenggong gulped loudly. "Okay, cool, but can you let go of my neck first? You're choking me." Zhang Yi realized Li Chenggong's face was turning purple. He had accidentally applied too much grip strength. "Oh, my bad." He let go. Li Chenggong coughed violently, catching his breath. He drew his second sword, dual-wielding them, as he backed up behind Zhang Yi. "Are we actually inside Mammon's body?" He started poking the ground. "What are you looking for?" Zhang Yi asked. "A landing spot," Li Chenggong replied with a cocky grin. "A place to stab my sword. If I attack a soft spot from the inside, maybe I can just destroy this thing from the inside out. Then I'd be..." He was getting a little too ahead of himself, high on the power of his absolute cut ability. Zhang Yi rolled his eyes and said coldly, "Don't get ahead of yourself." "Hey, if it wasn't for me, you wouldn't even be in here," Li Chenggong shot back. Zhang Yi ignored him. Technically, he had been relaying the different future excuse to Yang Xinxin in his shadow space. After the events at Tianyu Palace, Yang Xinxin's understanding of the world had evolved drastically. She had told him, "Brother, Ling Seal can't possibly be limited to just a physical body. But since we're here, we have to find it, regardless."